There's an old saying that your network is your net worth, but I want you to really think about what that means because too many of us treat networking like a numbers game. Collecting business cards, sending random LinkedIn requests, or showing up at every free event that we can find. And guess what? Those individuals don't see results. They don't build influence. They don't create the kinds of relationships that lead to real opportunities. That's why today I want to help you shift your mindset around networking. I'm going to break down how to strategically build connections that create wealth and open doors, not just for business, but for legacy.
Welcome to Beyond the Velvet Rope with Neal Oates Jr., the podcast that takes you on an extraordinary journey into the world of luxury service. Join us as we unlock the secrets, stories, and strategies behind exceptional experiences. From anticipating VIP needs to crafting unforgettable memories, we'll guide you on a path to service excellence in the realm of the affluent. Let's elevate your expertise and redefine the art of world-renowned service. Here's your host, Neal Oates Jr.
Welcome back to Beyond the Velvet Rope. I am Neal Oates Jr., and today we're talking about networking strategically, not just meeting people, but building relationships that elevate your business and open doors to real wealth. You see, in my book, The Affluent Negroes, 7 Principles for Minority Wealth Creation, one thing I talk about is how affluence isn't just about money. It's about access. And access comes from knowing the right people in the right rooms at the right time. So whether you're an entrepreneur, a business owner, or a professional looking to elevate your game, this episode is for you. And stick around because at the end, I'll share how you can work directly with me to take your networking strategy to the next level. So let's get into it. The first thing we're going to look at is the mindset shift from networking to relationship building. Let's start with the biggest mistake that many entrepreneurs make when it comes to networking. They focus on what they can get instead of what they can give. They go into rooms looking for clients instead of connections. They see people as transactions, not long-term allies. And because of that, they never build the kind of network that leads to real influence. Most people approach networking completely backward. And as I talk here, you're probably going to start having some ideas or maybe some examples of when you yourself, like I have gotten it wrong. So let's see what those people do. They focus on who they can meet instead of who they can help. They go into rooms thinking, who here can give me business instead of asking, how can I be of value in this space? How can I add value to the individuals that I'm going to meet or interact with? Let me tell you something. If you approach networking like a taking or with a taking mentality, people can smell it a mile away, especially when we talk about those rooms here in a moment that we want to be in. I am quick to say that people's BS meter is finely tuned. And the kind of people that you actually want to network with, they avoid those people who are always taking. The most successful people don't just network for business. They network for power, access, and here's the key, generational opportunities. Let me give you an example. A few years ago, I went to an exclusive event. High-level entrepreneurs, investors, decision makers were there. A guy walked up to me and immediately started pitching his services. No introduction, no conversation, just straight into, here's what I do, you should hire me. I nodded, I let him speak, but in my mind, I was already checked out. Why? Because he wasn't there to build a connection, he was there to sell. And not just to sell, he was there to sell me, who did not feel like buying. And I definitely did not feel like being sold to. So contrast that with another interaction that I had the very same night. Someone else came up, asked about my work, and instead of trying to sell me, they asked, what's a challenge you're facing right now? That led to real conversation. It turns out they had a resource that could help me. No pitch. He didn't say, hey, for $19.95, I've got something for you. No pressure, just value. That person is someone I do business with regularly to this day. So here's the key takeaway. Successful people don't network for transactions. They network for long-term wealth creation. They understand that one strong relationship is worth more than 1,000 shallow connections. So you may be asking, well, how do I build this strategic networking blueprint? So this is where we're going to get tactical. How do you actually network strategically, as I talk about here in my book? You need a blueprint. And one of the best blueprints or frameworks that I found that I use both in business and in coaching is something that I call the OODA loop for networking. And OODA is OODA. It's the OODA loop for networking. Here's how the OODA loop is applied in networking. The first O is observe. Who do you need to know? Where do they spend time? And what are they interested in? The second O is orient. How do you position yourself as valuable? What's your expertise, your insight, and your unique angle? The D is decide. Where will you make your moves? What rooms do you need to be in? And who do you need to follow up with? And the last part of the OODA loop is the A, and that is act. Build trust, nurture relationships, and follow up with intentionality. So let's look at an example. Let's say you want to break into a new industry. Most people just start cold messaging, cold calling people, and that's reactive networking. We're going to look at networking strategically. It means first observing. Who are the players in that space? Who do they follow? What events do they attend? Then there is that second O, and that is orienting. How can you stand out? Maybe it's by contributing to conversations online or creating content, or maybe you position yourself as a thought leader. I want you all to see already how I'm living and doing, and as a result, I am receiving. Only then do you decide how to engage. And once you do, that's when you take action. So here's the sad truth, World Renowned family. Most people skip steps 1 and 2, and that's why they struggle. So now we've got to look at the importance of environment after we look at the OODA loop. Observe, orient, decide, and act. But the environment is going to be vitally important to our success or the potential for our success to network strategically. Let's talk about where you network. This is where environment really matters. If you keep showing up to the same free spaces with the same people, you're not expanding your network, you're just running in circles. If you want to level up, if you want to connect with high value individuals, I'm going to say this here and it might be controversial. Stop going to random networking events and start positioning yourself in places where decision makers gather. That means exclusive industry events, masterminds, high-end conferences, and private circles. You must get into higher value rooms, those exclusive masterminds, private events, investor circles. That's where the deals are happening. Most people fail because they stop at meeting people, but meeting someone isn't enough. You have to become someone that they remember and respect. And this is one of the best pieces of advice that I have ever received that I'm going to share with you from one of my coaches who became a mentor, who is now a business partner of mine. And I believe that when I understood this concept and I started to apply it, it changed everything for me. And that is, if you're always in free rooms, you're surrounded by people who can't afford to invest in you. I'll say that again. If you're always in free rooms, you're surrounded by people who can't afford to invest in you. I know that many of us have heard that the greatest investment that you can make is in yourself. It's the only one that you are in control of a compound return on the investment. When was the last time that, as a part of your networking strategy, you invested in yourself by maybe attending a paid mastermind or attending an exclusive event, getting into those high value rooms? Because once you are in there, you are no longer surrounded by people who can't afford to invest in you. And they are more likely to invest in you because they have invested in themselves. I can't tell you how frequently I'm speaking with my coaching clients and they're saying, Neal, I want to go to a higher level. I want to be in a different sphere when it comes to the economics or the finances. But they find themselves continually being in rooms where everyone got in for free, where no one had to put any skin in the game, where there was no investment necessary. And we're going to ask someone else to invest in us when they haven't invested in themselves. I hope you start to see where the disconnect is. So after we take those first initial steps, let's look at now how we become the high value connector. And the reason being the high value connector is so important is because this is where we're going to start building influence. And with influence comes success, and success comes more success, and we're going to close more deals. We're going to just do more business, because ultimately that is our goal in any area of life. Now let's talk about how to go from just knowing people to being someone people know and they want to do business with. So what's the secret? The secret is becoming a high value connector. I do want to make it very clear right here. I did not say a highly paid salesperson. I did not say a great business owner. No, the truth is people want to associate, they want to be connected to a connector. If you can become a high value connector, you're always going to be invited into the room. Here's a fact that I've learned and that I have experienced and that I am now taking advantage of in the right way. And there's a hierarchy in networking. Some people are seekers. They're always looking for connections. Maybe you were previously a seeker where you're saying, hey, I'm looking for, I need, who do you know? Can you give? That's that taker mentality. Some people are floaters. So after you have seekers, some are floaters, and they know a few people, but they don't leverage those relationships, right? But here's the key. Then there are connectors, the people who bring others together. They are the people who, when they call, people answer. That's who we want to be. Let me break something down for you. There's a difference between being liked, known, and trusted in business circles. Now, I know we hear it all the time. You want to be liked, known, trusted, known, liked, trusted, all of that. But there is a difference in being liked, known, and trusted in business circles where ultimately we have opportunities coming to us. Being nice is, or should I say, being liked is nice. Being known is better. But being trusted, that's where the money is. And trust, ladies and gentlemen, doesn't come from networking the way most people do. So that means that we must do something different if our ultimate goal is to add value and be trusted. I want you to do something for me. Think about the most successful entrepreneurs you know. They don't just meet people. They become connectors. They bring people together. They make introductions. They add value before they ever ask for anything in return. That's the key. That's what might be scary. That might be the block for you. So you might be asking, well, Neal, why would I want to become a connector? Why would I dare give before I receive? I mean, besides the fact that the Bible, the good book, the word says that it is more blessed to give than receive, to be in a position of authority and leadership and come from a place of abundance. So we're going to look at 3 ways to become a high value connector. Because as I just mentioned, if you can become that high value connector, you're always going to want to be invited, or you're always going to be invited into those high value rooms. The first thing I'm going to encourage you to do is be a resource magnet. Instead of asking for something, find ways to provide value. Who can you introduce? What resource can you share? Or what insights do you have that you can share with an audience? As long as you are a resource magnet and people come to you for things and then you're giving to them freely, you're always going to be invited into those high value rooms and those high value relationships. Second, follow up with a strategy. Please stop sending generic nice to meet you emails. Instead, follow up with value, a relevant article, a thoughtful introduction, a business opportunity, or an insight that your new connection might appreciate. And then third, and possibly most important, be seen as an authority. Position yourself, ladies and gentlemen, as someone worth knowing through content. Share insights, create content, speak at events, and provide thought leadership to attract the right connections instead of always chasing them. So I know that we, as business owners, entrepreneurs, as leaders, many of us are hunter-gatherers, where we are out going, looking on the search. We're prospecting, always going a little bit further. But the best place to be is to be a strategic networker, to be an ultimate connector of people, so that you become the hub and then opportunities are attracted to you. Because when you do this consistently, people will start coming to you for opportunities. I can tell you that there's a few things as good as having people come to you and bring those opportunities to you. So here's how you can take your networking to the next level. If you're serious about building an elite network that actually moves your business forward, this is where the real work begins. It's not just in watching the video, it's in doing something with the information and the knowledge that you now have. Networking strategically isn't just something you do when you need something, it's a long-term wealth building skill. And the beauty about any skill is that if we practice it enough, if we decide to be intentional on honing that skill enough, we can get really, really good at it. If you're ready to stop playing small and start networking like the Affluent do, let's talk. And here's how we can work together. First, there's one-on-one executive coaching. This is where I'll personally guide you through a customized networking strategy to help you expand your influence and get into the right rooms full of the right people at the right time. Second, we have masterminds and private community. And this is where you can access a high value network of curated high level professionals where deals, collaborations, and connections are happening daily. Remember, by the time most deals are communicated, they've already been picked over by those in the inner circle. Wouldn't it be great if you were in that inner circle? And then finally, we have a VIP networking blueprint session. And this is a deep dive strategy session where we map out your ideal network and help you create a plan to connect with the right people. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you've listened to this podcast, I want to extend something to you. And that is, when you're ready to stop networking randomly and start building a powerful, profitable network, let's make it happen. So visit nealoatesjr.com or click the link in the show notes to book a consultation today. Your next big opportunity is only one relationship away. So I want to thank you for listening. If you got value from this, be sure to share this with someone who needs to hear it. Comment, make sure you subscribe to this podcast. And remember, your network is your net worth, but only if you cultivate it with intention. I hope you found this useful. And as I leave you, I want to say, as I always do, that I love you, God loves you, and there's nothing you can do about it. And until the next time I see you, or you see me, don't be average, be world renowned. Peace.